Lost in Talks podcast.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Lost in Talks podcast, episode 107. We got just two of the boys in the building tonight. It's me and Kevin. We're just here chilling.
Two mans, one pod. You know
Yeah,
what
two
it is.
mans, one pod. Yo, pause. Two mans, one pause. Yo,
Crackers.
We got the soundboard back too.
we got the soundboard back as well.
So that's
yo.
the third man.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of Ian still probably because it's mostly Ian on that shit. but
Facts. Facts. That's actually.
He's
facts.
a good soundbite man, you know.
Yeah, he says. You know how Ian is. Ian says some stuff.
It's all shit too that like he didn't think about. It just came out.
It just
you know?
comes out of his mouth. And if you notice, he does that a lot. So, yeah. But yeah, I hope you guys are doing good. We are here once again. Make sure you guys check out all the socials. Make sure you guys are rating the podcast on whatever platform you guys are checking it out on. And make sure you guys are liking, subscribing to the YouTube channel as well.
Leaving comments.
Leaving comments, engage with all the videos.
Yeah.
I'm seeing the views. The views are starting to come back,
That's good.
which is nice.
Yeah.
They're slowly starting to come back. Our downloads are slowly starting to go back up from nothing to something.
Yeah.
We're at I think 30 or something like
That's
that.
good. That's good.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Before we were getting like how much was it? I want to say 2,500
Damn.
at a time,
Damn.
almost weekly. And I'm like, that's surprising. I don't know
Yeah.
who these people are.
That's fucked. Yeah. I didn't know it was that serious.
I didn't know it was that serious either until I
Yeah.
looked at the actual stats.
Mans like to listen. I don't know. I feel like our pod is something. Maybe we don't ask enough questions, but I feel like we get into enough topics where I feel like the engagement for podcasts at least
Yeah.
come from like people who are the interest level for me is like how much you're commenting, how much you're
Yeah.
you're asking. I mean, that's on us too. Obviously, once we start getting back more into the social part and posting the clips,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's where it comes from. But
Yeah.
you can't do that on Spotify, for example, but on YouTube and again, we haven't had the YouTube videos come up yet. So but damn, yeah.
No, yeah. I've been dropping the YouTube videos.
Yeah.
So we're back on track with those. I'm editing in DaVinci now.
Mhm.
I don't use Premiere anymore. I'm done paying for that shit.
Yeah.
So it's just been a learning curve. So they're coming out slow,
Yeah.
but I've finally kind of worked out a good little setup for how I want it to kind of look and everything like that. So those should be coming out at a consistent time more frequently now. And then we'll probably have like clips and stuff like that. Those are like my last priority.
Yeah, that's
You could
throughout
drop those
the week.
whenever.
Yeah, really whenever. Like those can be,
I can
clips
drop
that you
those
pull up
whenever.
from like months ago and shit.
Yeah, so yeah, man, looking forward to that. But anyways, yeah, it's mostly gonna be like a music pod today. We had a couple topics regarding just music, the music industry from all over the world to right here back in the city.
And it kind of relates to an ongoing conversation that we've had last week and kind of probably something we'll dive into more, just like the legal stuff around music and like sampling and copyrights and all that kind of murky stuff and how that plays into like creativity and popularity and
Yeah,
like the actual artistic part of the music,
yeah. So we'll start it off, yo. We're gonna start with
And it's good because these are like they're also relevant weekly. This
Yeah.
shit happened this week.
yeah.
But then these are also like bigger conversations too. you
Yeah,
know?
that again on a wider scale can just
Yeah.
happen at any time. So yeah, yo, R.I.P. Pop Smoke.
Always, yeah.
We saw some screenshots, some text messages. I believe it was from one of his producers.
Yeah, Rico Beats.
You right? Yeah. That was basically saying and confirming that we've basically gotten all of Pop Smoke's music,
Yeah.
and there's basically nothing left for us.
Someone was asking like, what about this snippet with this track or this other song? And it's like, it's all gone. It's all up.
Yeah.
If you do the math, if you just step back and do a little bit of basic math, how long has this guy been popping? He was popping for like a year at max.
Yep.
And that's the majority. They're not using stuff from if he was 16 years old. And the other thing is he was 22.
Yeah.
So let's say he was making music since he was however old, 13. They're not using that stuff. They're using the stuff from the year that
When he was
popped.
hottest.
Yeah. So his producer said, he's been gone for 3 years now. And how much music do you think he made in a year? So that's what they were working off of for the album that they dropped right after he passed, which I think it was either, I can't remember now, but was that like their half done, or he was working on that album or something.
I can't recall, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I can't remember but I know it was like it was panned, like people didn't like it,
Yeah.
and it felt rushed, and it felt like what these posthumous albums feel like, where it's like, let's just take this dead guy's music and put it out in a way where, and again, his producer confirmed, like, Pop Smoke wouldn't have approved of 99% of the stuff that's come out since his passing. They released that other album too, I think, a year after.
Yeah, I was going to say there was 2 albums
Yeah.
that they released, right? Yeah, and one of them was I think it was the second one that 50 Cent was involved in.
Yeah, I think he executive produced it or
and
something.
then people said that one was a bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was.
Oh, wait, he executive produced the one that just came out, or the one that came out just before, a few months after his murder, and then
Oh, okay.
the other one doesn't say who, but there was just bare people on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Neptunes, Pharrell. I think
Yeah.
everybody was like
A bunch of-
contributing, producing wise, and
Yeah, and I did not listen to either
yeah,
of those albums.
yeah,
Personally.
as real fans should.
Yeah, just because I didn't believe in those albums. I'm one of those guys that also thinks, I don't know if this person would have wanted this shit to drop.
And I believe his producer, and I also believe, even if you didn't hear that from his producer, I think just as a fan, just as an artist, like, think about it for a second. If the music didn't come out, why would it that shit was just gonna sit there, and it's not like it's a waste of time. It's just sometimes you go to the studio and you make something that, like, it doesn't need to come out,
Yeah, exactly.
and that happens most of the time, actually. Like, I would say, depending on how good of you are of an artist, you got to think about it kind of like baseball stats, where it's like, if you hit 30%, you're a good hitter. That's probably, you're probably like, you're a future, you're a young thug. If you're, you hear all these things about these guys going in the studio and making 10 tracks a day. 3 of them are probably passable. 1 of them might be a hit. If they're doing that, if they're at that level of, like, production every day, and if they're not, then it's like they're making all these little ideas. Then you have this one that's like once every week or once every month it comes out and it's hot, So just put that into perspective of, like, the last year of, like, Pop Smoke's career, and it's like the stuff that you heard was the stuff that was good, or, like, great and needed to come out.
Yeah. I've always wondered around those situations because he's so young.
Yeah.
Probably didn't have a will.
Yeah.
Where does his money go to? Other than
Yeah.
his label, obviously.
Yeah.
Does it go to any bits of his family? Are
You
they
hope
able to
so.
hand that
I
off?
mean, obviously, like, you hope in, like, an ideal ethical world, like, his family is still connected to that in some way, like the money at least, or that it's going to just something that was a specific to him and his career, rather than just, like, the label that he signed to,
Yeah, because that's the one part that always kind of bothered me with like X, for example, XXX Tentacion, R.I.P. to him as well. His career was kind of different because he was able to put out a couple. I think he put out a couple projects before he passed. Let me double check. I'm pretty sure he put out a couple before he passed. But he was already pretty popular in the underground scene for a while.
Yeah.
So he had 17, then he had Question Mark, Moonlight. I think that was the year he died. What year did XXX die?
2019?
19?
18?
Right?
I think it was 18.
I think it was 18 as well. And I think Question Mark was his last album while he was actually alive. Let me just confirm that. But for his music, as far as I know, his mom gets all that shit.
Yeah.
So his mom is living like a fucking queen right now, just from all the stuff that he's been able to sell. And he's been able to. Oh yeah, so June 18th, 2018 was when he passed.
Yeah.
When he was murdered. Thank God they locked those motherfuckers up.
Yeah, I remember that. We were shooting Make Me Move.
Yeah, man. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. So yeah, he dropped after that. And then they had Skins, which dropped later that year after his passing. So they've dropped 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 albums since his death.
Wow.
And I heard he made a lot of music.
Yeah.
He took a lot of time with music and stuff like that. But even still, from a lot of his fans, they do also say they could tell there's definitely a different type of quality.
Yeah.
It's not complete.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder as well, is this something that he would have wanted? I believe once again his mom kind of runs everything, so she's involved with some of these releases. So my concern always is she trying to take advantage of the situation? And even if she was, am I mad at it?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It could be. I mean, it's one of those things where it could be like there's no, she's not right or wrong. It's like the gray area where it's like obviously she's probably still trying to take. Because why would you not try to get money from this situation? It's not like. And then the other thing too is there is probably the good intention where it's like she does want to, let the fans have
Eat a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just looking up Juice World as well. So they put out 2 albums and there's another one coming out. So they put out 2 albums now since he's
R.I.P.
passed.
Juice, yeah.
And those are both. One is 25 songs and the other one is 18 songs. So they're both like hour-long projects, which is like I don't know, just too much music.
Yeah, man. I don't know.
And like BTS, like they just get really weird features. You know what I mean? Like it's like,
and that's the worst part is when you know that they just reach out to anybody to say, "Yo, you want to hop on this?"
Can you imagine hopping on a guy's song that you never met?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter if you're a fan of them. Like, obviously it would be nice to have a Juice WRLD song, but it's like, who am I kidding? Like, I'm not just trying to get on say I have a Juice WRLD feature and it's like not. You know what I mean? Like
exactly. It's just weird to me, because a lot of the features that they're getting are just not people that I would see you even trying to work with. And even if you did, probably not in your first couple years.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe, for example, like Pop Smoke, maybe when he matured more, he might want to work with some of these people. But a lot of these features, they just seem forced. They seem just very opportunistic.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just doesn't feel right a lot of the time.
I remember being a kid and listening to I think it was probably like a Tupac song where it was like the first time that I started becoming aware of this idea of posthumous music. And like, I was trying to listen to the song. There was a little bit of context that I might've had where, that it was from this whatever session that he recorded it from. And now they put it on this new beat. They got this new person to produce the beat and they got features and they got somebody to do the hook and whatever. And I'm listening to it and it was really, I remember that was the first time where I'm like confused by like, what am I listening to? Cause, and this is before anything about having like teams of writers and stuff. And even with like hip hop, you're assuming that the rapper is the writer. So it's just a really weird thing to try and like conceptualize. This person is spitting on a beat that they've never heard before. Yeah. And it wasn't around before while they were even alive, let alone that, and like
exactly.
The words that they're saying aren't meant for this song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the like ethical, that's one of the ethical things that I think comes with that thing is like songwriting is like a sacred process. You know what I mean? Like we know that feeling of like when you hear a beat and the words come from that beat, you wouldn't have just been walking around in the world and like come up with those words or that hook. It's like because you heard that beat, it's like that marriage,
and it's like that connection.
Yeah. So for that's like one of my, I think my biggest gripes with posthumous music is like you're just taking this beat and when you have these like these compilation albums and you're asking Neptunes, you're asking Kanye and all these people, they're just also taking these snippets of ideas that they had and it's like, hey, let's just glue these things together and see if they work, and it feels like that in a lot of cases where it's just like this mashup, when you hear like a really bad remix on like Z103, like a beat and like a song that shouldn't remix together, they're doing it just for the mix. That's what it feels like sometimes. It's just not, it's all lined up and he's not off beat, like he's hitting the flow of the beat, like the tempo and stuff, but it doesn't feel right.
It doesn't feel right. Just doesn't feel right. And again, when it comes to the features and stuff like that, there's just no connection. Yeah,
you could tell they're doing it for the bag, for
they just mailed this in.
Yeah,
which sucks as well.
Because you can't like what you can't tell this story. You're the one somebody who's like on the song is dead. Like how are you supposed to create something with that's actually like meaningful?
So what do you think? What do you think they should do? Do you just leave the shit alone?
I mean, so
as a label.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is labels are gonna find way. They're gonna loophole their way around into making as much money as possible. Like it extends into. I've started doing a little light Funko toy whatever collection, right? And one thing I noticed with these things, with these collectibles and stuff, is like you'll see a lot of Biggie licensed merch. but Biggie, I can't imagine a world where if Biggie was alive right now, he would be licensing all of this shit.
Exactly.
And you find like with a lot of that stuff, like collectibles, it's like mostly people who are dead, or like the thing isn't existing anymore. You know, the show's gone, the show's over. Like there's no like Nintendo Funkos, there's no like Mario Funkos, because like Nintendo knows their license, like they know that they don't need that licensing to come out.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's like, it feels like in a lot of those situations that it's easier to negotiate those types of licenses because the people are dead, you know? And like whoever is in charge of the estate, or whether it be a family member or whether it be just the label, or somebody's like, yeah, I can make money off of this, and I don't need to ask the person whose name we're making money off of. That's why you see all these Tupac shirts in H&M and
Exactly.
you know, like it's all that shit where it's like, who's making money off of this? How do we feel about it? What should be done? I don't know. Like, that's the thing. These contracts are private business. So, you know, like once you take that information of like who actually owns these things out of people's like, you know, realm of understanding, or then what can we say? What can we do to change it? You know, there are things like you hear about Tyler. I think recently he said on stage that he wrote a will where nobody's going to be able to release his music. I think Lana Del Rey also did that. I can't remember. I'm sure also that's just like privately, I'm sure there's a ton of artists now who are doing that.
Wasn't it Anderson .Paak?
Yeah.
Who got it tatted on him?
Yeah. Yep.
Anderson .Paak got it tatted on him. But I don't know. We'll see if some of those things can even follow through, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You really think that labels won't be able to find a way around that if they wanted to? And there's all this stuff now too with like artists who are selling their catalogs and stuff too. I don't know how much that has into how much that, you know, like what that goes into.
So from my understanding with artists selling their catalogs, it's them basically taking I don't want to say advantage, but like
it's them using their music as like stocks.
Yes.
Basically.
So they're selling their music now because they don't know how much it's going to be worth in the future.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into this shortly, but we're already starting to see what music is kind of turning into with AI and this and that.
Yeah.
Right. So for example, Future sold his whole catalog basically up to this point.
Yeah.
I don't know if I Never Liked You was on that or not, but maybe not. Let's just say it wasn't. But everything that he basically had before that, he kind of sold, and he made almost $100 million off of that.
Yeah.
And that's great if you really do think about it. A lot of people don't understand it. They say, oh, you could have gotten more, da-da-da-da-da-da, but that's not what it's about. It's about getting a big, hefty fucking bag right now and securing it, so that way you don't have to worry about chasing down anybody for your money later on.
Yeah.
You know? I'm going to take my $100 million now and flip it, and I can still make music and flip that shit again later on in the future, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what it's kind of about.
And yeah, like shit, you know, this stuff about royalties and the wills, and like you gotta, let's say Future's, you know, next to kin gets his royalties. There's probably a whole weird ass process in terms of like them getting paid on time and
exactly.
You know.
So why worry about that shit when the labels can do that shit?
Yeah.
And if they're willing to buy it and they want to handle that, all that, go for it, bro. Give me $100 million.
Yeah.
And you guys could go do all of that.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about it at all.
I remember, like, that's a great deal for Future. I think people were like criticizing Bieber. I think he sold it for like 200 or something.
Yeah.
And again, it's like, bro, you really think these guys are taking bad deals? Like,
Exactly. Exactly.
Come on.
And people forget how much money he's already made off of this music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not like he just made this 250 or Future just made this 100. They've made times that, times whatever, and they're getting 100 or 250 on top of that. Ja Rule label, Murder Inc. What's the owner's name again? I can't remember his name. The guy that was banging Ashanti. Fucking, I can't remember right now. But they sold the Murder Inc. catalog for a lot. I think it was like 300, 400 mil.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what they're doing. They're just flipping. They're just flipping stuff. They're doing tours. They're doing documentaries. They're doing shows. What's his name?
Irv Gotti.
Irv Gotti, yeah. So that's what it's about. At the end of the day, they're like, you know, it's able to open up different opportunities that they didn't have open to them before. So it just that makes sense to me, you know.
Yeah, people think. I mean, yeah, I think it's that like kind of logic question where it's like, would you rather take 100,000 today or $50
Yeah.
every day for the rest of your life or whatever?
Yeah.
But when you're talking about this amount of money, and when you're talking about something like the future of music as well, where it's like they probably see the numbers where, yeah, it's easier to make $1 million in a month, for example, when we're just relying on CD sales. But now with streaming, they're
It's
probably
streaming.
making pennies. You know,
Exactly.
I mean, they're literally making pennies.
They are
actually.
making pennies.
Yeah.
So why not get 100 mil now? Because who's to say whether that price goes down even lower?
Yeah.
Because they can't control it. The streaming services do.
Yeah, like inflation has made everything go up, but music is probably cheaper than it's ever been
Yeah.
right now, right?
Yeah.
As a consumer.
Exactly.
So, and what's stopping that, in terms of what's moving forward with AI and all this shit, and yeah, it's NFT, like all of these models of like ownership and stuff. I think that's the model that people are trying to go towards in terms of like digital artistic licensing.
Yeah.
That's where the money is. It's not the actual how to sell it anymore,
Exactly.
as a producer.
Yeah. And then just kind of going off of that, passing of artists and then us making music. Let's touch on AI one more time. We've been talking about AI nonstop.
I think it's not gonna stop. Yeah.
It's not gonna stop.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. It's getting to that point where it's fucking annoying.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's like it's happening now, and
it's infiltrating every aspect. Because I was just gonna talk about too when you're saying moving to DaVinci, like Adobe. I was just talking to Amandeep and Raj about this new Adobe Firefly is what it's called.
Oh, yeah,
where
yeah,
it,
yeah,
like uses AI to cut
Yeah,
up.
DaVinci has that as well, where
Yeah.
it just cuts up your shit for
Yep.
you, and it's not fully good yet, but it helps out.
Yeah, and
You know?
it's gonna be
And
there.
it's
It's gonna be
the
it's
worst
gonna get
that it
there.
is right now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
yeah.
gonna get better.
Yep.
It's gonna be able to cut shit perfectly soon. I tried to use it on the podcast when I was cutting the last one.
Yeah.
So I could do the punch-ins and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that. But it's still interesting because it's like it's doing it pretty good.
Yeah.
But it can't pick up on certain inflections and stuff like that when people are talking.
Right.
And it doesn't know yet how to focus on that one person or even who that one person is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So it might notice, oh shit, somebody's snapping in the corner talking over here, but it goes over to you.
Oh, okay. I mean, that
know?
makes sense.
You
Yeah,
know?
because
And it makes
we
sense.
wouldn't know where to track the the audio from.
So,
I guess.
but
yeah.
obviously, at some point, we're going to be able to line up and say, this is who this
Yeah,
person's voice
yeah.
belongs to. Da 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 da. And yeah, man, I don't know. I'm just definitely interested to see where that kind of goes.
Yeah.
'Cause
There's
it's
so
gonna be
many. That's the
interesting.
thing. Is like it's a huge topic where it's like it infiltrates into everything, and there's parts
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
of it where it's like, yeah, that would be very helpful, and then there's parts of it where it's like, oh, somebody's gonna exploit the shit out of this.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
it's gonna
yeah.
fuck us up in some way.
Exactly.
You know.
My whole thing is in the future, man. I don't think anybody's job is really going to be safe from
Yeah,
AI
exactly.
or robots.
Yeah.
Nobody should be comfortable thinking that they're good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I remember the other day I saw, they're doing one of those Instagram fucking street interview bullshits. And a guy asked this girl, like, oh, do you think that your job would be safe
Right.
if AI really, took over? And she's like, yeah, obviously. And then he's like, okay, what do you do? And she's like, I'm HR. And then he's like, you're stupid. Like, what are you talking about?
They're the first to go.
So
bro.
and he's like, okay, so what do you do? And she's like, basically, I like write stuff down and I take notes and I talk to people on a regular basis. And he's like, so you don't think a computer could
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah, or is already doing that.
Or is
yeah.
already doing
Yeah.
that? And she's like, no, not fully. And he's like, have you ever called somewhere and you never spoke to a person, but
Yeah.
but you got the answer that you were looking for after pushing a couple of buttons?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah. And he's like, that's
your
AI,
job.
if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's your job,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Um,
Or like like if you fucking turn on ChatGPT right now and that's it.
Yeah.
Your job's done. Like
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of people don't understand that, yeah, you're fucked. Everybody from, the big corporations all the way down to us little folks that we could be working at a grocery store or retail.
Yeah.
Wherever.
Garbage men,
Garbage
mailmen,
men,
everybody's
every
gonna,
job,
Yeah. There's
write
going to be
down-
some aspect of it
Yeah.
that's involved in some way. Like routes are going to be more efficient.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mail routes, the
Bus
sorting.
drivers are not going to be needed soon.
Yeah.
Subway drivers are not going to be needed soon. A lot of people are going to be out of jobs very, very soon, and it's going to be a lot sooner than we think.
Yeah.
Just
And there's
because
gonna
of
be like a
growth.
lot of new. You got to learn tech. You got to learn AI.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
already these. You can take courses on fucking learning Chat GPT and shit.
Exactly,
And
which is crazy.
it's like either that or you got to learn. You can do the same job, but you're gonna be doing different things.
Yeah.
You know, like it's gonna require different things. I think for people like us, like artists, that's not as worrisome because the things that we don't have to focus on anymore are like the stupid shit that we
Yeah.
don't like doing. But I mean, that doesn't mean that things that we like doing are also not going to be affected. They're just going to be different. You know, you just
Yeah.
got to work with the ways that you just, you know, things change. You know, imagine when people were fucking. You had to tell the first person who their whole job was just writing copies of books. That was a thing back in the day.
Exactly.
It's like, hey, we got this typewriter now. We got this computer now. Like,
Yeah, crazy. But yeah, did you see the Timberland shit?
yeah.
Timberland, one of my favorite producers all time. Amazing, just classics, hits. He was talking about how he never had the opportunity to work with Biggie since he passed, obviously. And he went about it and he decided to use AI and he decided to make a song. And he played the track, kind of corny.
Yeah. I didn't listen to it. Yeah.
It wasn't that crazy
Yeah.
or anything like that. And I don't know. People were up and going crazy about it, like, "Oh, this is unethical,"
Yeah.
Da, 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 which I understand.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, I get both sides.
Yeah.
I understand. Like he's trying to use the technology because he sees that it could be used positively.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is a little bit weird to make a track with a dead man's voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And without using his actual lyrics.
Yeah.
I don't know who wrote this.
This is going beyond what we're talking about with like people using Pop Smokes. You
Yeah.
know, this is, and again, what I'm saying is like, we now know that these things are possible, that like any old fucking person can make a Biggie song. They can write a song and have Biggie speak it. So I don't know how long record companies have known about this stuff. You know, they might have been doing this.
Exactly.
Some of Pop Smoke shit that you might have been hearing might already have been
Exactly.
using this shit, you know?
And
So
we just don't even know about
yeah.
it. Shit. That may be wild.
Yeah.
Oh, God. The future's looking bleak.
Yeah.
But shouts out Ed Sheeran, yo.
Yeah. Yeah.
The boy beat the case. If you guys didn't know, Ed Sheeran... And it wasn't actually... I thought it was Marvin Gaye's family.
It was his,
It's like some
what's the difference between
writers
his,
or
it was just
assistants
the
or
writers, okay?
some
Because they always
writers
say
or
the estate.
assistants or-
I guess like if anybody wants to sue somebody, they go through the estate. Is that
Yeah, but the actual estate, like his actual family, they were the ones that went after
Pharrell and
those guys for Blurred Lines.
Yeah,
But they didn't really seem to care about this one as much.
okay, yeah.
It was apparently just other people involved with them
Okay, yeah.
that went for it. So basically they were saying Ed Sheeran's track, do you remember the song name? Who cares?
Yeah, thinking out loud.
Thinking Out Loud.
Yeah,
Was, it sounded just like another Marvin Gaye song.
yeah.
Which was how did you feel about that?
So I didn't look up which songs it were when I first saw the story because I was just like, I kind of knew that it would be something where it's like when I hear the two songs that are in question, I'd be like, yeah, it sounds like a Marvin Gaye ripoff song, but it's not copying the song. And when I saw it afterwards and he won, and then I saw the two titles of the song, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's exactly what it was. It's like this song is supposed to be. I remember when that song came out, the Thinking Out Loud song, I'm like, this is supposed to be like a modern Marvin Gaye slow jam type song that you can play at fucking proms and
Weddings
parties
and
and
shit.
weddings.
Yeah.
And yeah, you do every 5-10 years, these songs come about in pop music. Every year it probably comes about where you have this song that's like, Let's Get It On is one of the like signature slow jam R&B, like it's an archetype now,
Yeah.
The way that I think about it is like Bruno Mars has made a whole career off of this type of shit where he makes songs that sound like shit that you've heard,
Oh,
but
not forgetting my Trinidad James.
yeah, which was great that he got
Yeah.
the writing credit on
Yeah,
that,
yeah. Yeah. That was good.
I think there was a few other songs on that same song that got writing credits, but it wasn't like it sampled a specific song. It didn't. I mean, he took the lyrics from "Don't Believe Me, Just Watch," but like it was just like musically, it just sounds like it, right? It's just inspired by that specific era.
Yeah.
And he's done that. You know, there's that song that's like the New Jack Swing kind of song, and like that's his bag, is like making these songs that fit on these playlists that you can put on weddings and that type of playlist, right? And is it wrong? It's just part of the industry. I don't know, you know? Like,
yeah, man. Because when I heard them play the songs back to back together,
yeah,
I was like, okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
can definitely see
Yeah.
it. But the first time I heard this Ed Sheeran song, I never really thought about it.
exactly, yeah,
You know what I mean? And I feel like it has to be a bit more obvious.
yeah,
Maybe to some people, but to me, and I feel like to the majority of people, it wasn't something that was like, oh, bro, that's
yeah,
Marvin
yeah,
Gaye.
yeah.
When I heard that Bruno shit with Trinidad James,
Yeah.
I was like, yo, what the hell?
Yeah.
I'm like, they're stealing actual shit.
Yeah. Even
You
the Ariana Grande one, remember where they're Seven Rings or whatever, where they thought
Oh yes,
Soldier
yeah,
Boy
with
slow.
Soldier Boy.
It's like, bro, everybody takes Soldier Boy
yeah,
slow.
everybody takes Soldier Boy's flow, bro. This has been happening, you
Yeah.
know, and he's just letting it slide. But
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't hear it at first. So I was like, okay, whatever. And the way they went about it in court was that he like stole,
Yeah.
that he like literally copied it, and he's there trying to show them that no, I didn't copy it. And this guy had to put on a concert in court.
Yeah.
And all that. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like, that just sucks to have to do. But yeah, I genuinely don't think he intentionally.
Yeah. There might have been
Sat
this
down and was
subconscious thing, you know?
Yeah, maybe, but maybe they're making the song and they're like, oh, this sounds good.
Has that kind of vibe, you know? Yeah. It's like, who doesn't like that song, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like you follow that. It's like, this has a nice vibe to it. So you
Yeah.
just follow it.
Exactly.
I think that the same shit probably happened with Blurred Lines too, where it's just like, yeah, obviously they heard that song. Maybe it was like, yeah, it's kind of sounding like this is following.
They
on this
won
one.
that on a feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what they won that shit.
Yeah.
Because it had the same type of feeling
Yeah.
as Marvin
Yeah.
Gaye's song.
There was no,
Which is kind of crazy, but that one I would say sounds more.
of course.
That one to me was a bit more obvious.
Yeah, it's
than this.
it's the drums, like the sounds of the drums and the rhythm is just like very similar, you know.
Yeah.
But that set a precedent that might not have been so great, because it's like you're not drawing from anything. You're not taking the sample copyright laws that
Exactly.
Which, I mean, you know, those laws are like 100 years old. They're like they're not for recorded music. It's for like written music, you know,
Yeah.
like when mans would write out sheets, like
Exactly.
so obviously, yeah, we do need to set these new precedents because the laws do need to change, but also we can't keep up with it because, like, the conversation we had last week about, like, yeah, you can pay these mans off to take their song. You can pay Mariah Carey off to just take her song basically and put a new verse on it. But then, yeah, there's like these gray areas of like just taking inspiration and like how much music has existed now, and it's like, how can you keep track sometimes of how many songs you've listened to and when they're gonna inspire you? There's times like when we're making songs, or like where I'm like, does this sound like something? And I'll like try to like sing it into Shazam. If it sounds like, I'm like, no, this sounds like like I don't want to copy something,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But you know, I haven't really found anything. Though Kwame Brown, the one thing that I didn't realize was like the verse sounds very similar to Popcorn's verse on Controlla.
True.
I was like, you know what? First of all, that shit didn't even officially come out, and second, it's like different words, different. You know, if that, whatever. It's the same kind of. It's inspired. Obviously, it was inspired by it, you know, and it's like you can't take away your complete inspiration. So it's like it's only you that comes through in the specific song, you know.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah,
Definitely. I'm happy he won that though,
Yeah.
because he would have been down 100 mil.
and he
and
was
more.
he was saying that, you know, he made a statement that he would quit music if.
Yeah.
So I think that helped him, but it could have also backfired if if it went the wrong
I
way.
laughed at that though when he
Yeah.
said that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
your label's not like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
They made over $500 million probably off of you alone.
Yeah.
Of all the little hits that you like to drop, bro.
Yeah.
They're not letting you quit no music.
Yeah.
The hell?
There's certain artists that they would let pass because they're out of their prime, but like Ed Sheeran's one of those guys where like he has another like 10 years of, he could release whatever the fuck he wants. and
Exactly.
it's gonna be a, you know, number one.
And people fuck with him. He's good everywhere. Like
Yeah.
he's fine with the rappers. He's cool with the pop stars.
Yeah.
And everybody else and the rock folks. So, you know, I'm happy he got a win there. People are trying to keep it racy and say, oh, it's because he's white. And I'm like, nah, bro.
Yeah.
It's Ed Sheeran. Like, he was not going to go down that soft. you
Yeah.
know? So yeah, so shouts out to Ed Sheeran, shouts out to Marvin Gaye and his whole estate and everybody. Peace and love, yo. Let's try and figure out, how we can go about making music without having to worry about it sounding like something that came up before. Like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the way I look at it is, we've all taken something from somebody else and kind of built upon it.
Yeah.
And unless this is like a direct stealing, I don't think we really need to be attacking people and approaching them like this. But,
Yeah.
but hey, collect your bag if you need to. Eh?
Yeah.
If you can win a bag, hey, win a bag.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be mad at that either. Not mad at that.
It's all a business. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like when I think about really bad cases of this shit, it's the Lion Sleeps Tonight. That was like an African folk song. There's like a documentary on Netflix about it. That shit's fucked. Like nobody from the label who put out the original folk song. I mean, it's an African folk song, first of all. So obviously nobody is getting money off of just like that being just like a song that wasn't supposed to exist commercially. Then there was like a recording of it. And then somebody found it for when was it first used? Some in the 70s, and then Lion King made it huge. And nobody in Africa ever saw a cent off of that shit. So,
Is what it is.
Yeah.
The game, unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right. You guys let us know what you guys think about the whole Marvin Gaye and Ed Sheeran situation. Also, let us know what you guys thought about the whole the Pop Smoke and posthumous music stuff too.
Just using dead people's music, using inspiration, samples,
using AI to make your dreams come true.
Yeah.
Artists you never got to work with, shit like that. You guys let us know what you guys thought about that overall.
Yeah.
So the boy of the weekend, the boy Abel, he recently just said that probably after his next album, he may or may not be done with the whole Weekend.
Yeah.
And that just means his character or his alter ego, alias, whatever. And he might be actually continuing on his music career as Abel. He just wants to shed the whole Weekend vibe and look and try something else, something new. Which is definitely very interesting. I didn't really see that coming.
Yeah.
I thought he was comfy. I'm sure he is comfy. I shouldn't say he's not comfy.
I didn't think about it as an alter ego until he brought it up.
Yeah.
Because it feels like at this point, maybe, if he's starting to act a little bit more now. So there's that part of it where you want to kind of unify your brand as like your name is just your name.
Yeah.
You don't want to be like Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, which, it works in certain cases, but it's nice also to just be able to go back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah.
It never seemed like it was like a specific character that he's putting on, but thinking about it, it probably is.
It probably is.
I don't imagine that he's always coked out and not as much as he used to. I think maybe it was something where he was living the gimmick more in his younger days, and now he's probably feels like it's him still being that.
He's so rich now that it's like it's so different.
Yeah,
it's just looking back at those days, it's like it just felt like he was just always on drugs.
Yeah.
Always
I remember before
women.
Trilogy or before he popped, he didn't leave the country.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's shifts like that where it's like when you're holding on to that name and that everything that character is associated to, and you're like this completely different person
now. Yeah, that makes complete sense to me. I think it's just growth, and I think it's a good way for him to again just grow within his career that he's already done. Because again, if we talk about it, The Weeknd was able to flip his career into something so much bigger than what most people expected it to be. Like we were all like, oh, this guy's fucking super talented, amazing voice, he could be great, but he's actually been able to take advantage of all of that and actually become one of the greatest artists of our time.
When I think of Weeknd, really now that I'm thinking about it more, it's like I'm thinking about like imagine if it was The Weeknd was him and was Zodiac, was that the name of the producer who did the first?
I think so.
Yeah, like that it's a band, it's an identity. It's not just him, like because there's a very specific sound that especially the early heads or whatever you want to call it, the people who knew about Weeknd before his hits, like his pop hits, that was a very but the distinction between that and I guess I Can't Feel My Face and was it Beauty Behind the Madness, was that like his first album after Kissland? That's when there was a shift, and I think there's been even more of a shift in like the last 2 albums, maybe, you know,
for sure.
in terms of subject material as well as just like sound and the way that he's kind of been putting these characters together. Like the whole thing with the one character, one look, one video, you know, the videos are kind of connected. The albums are a little bit conceptual. That feels very much different to the early Weeknd, you know? So I feel like it might not be like a hard reset where it's like as soon as he changes his name to Abel, now everything sounds completely different. Maybe it will, but I think it'll be like just kind of continuing how he's been growing in like the past 3-4 years or whatever, you know?
I'm thinking about it now. Do you see any type of connection between the old Weeknd person and this new, let's say, guy in the red suit?
Yeah.
I think there is a connection between them both. I think that's him if he really went off the deep end.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Do you get me?
Yeah. Yeah.
I could see something like that. It's almost like if he were to have been that same guy, become popular and get thrown into stardom even bigger.
Yeah.
And kind of wreck his life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ruin it.
Yeah, I guess that is what he's been going with for the past.
Because that's how I'm kind of looking at it now that I'm sitting down and thinking about it. Just because it's been like, you know, he had the broken nose or whatever. It's like he kind of went through this pain. He went through stuff already. He has all these scars. Yeah. And him wanting to now move away from that is him shedding those scars, moving away from his past, and then possibly becoming.
There was also, you know, I think there was that big moment when he cut his hair in that video, Starboy, where he that
was a big deal.
Yeah, he goes from, in that video, he changes from the fucking thing to the, you know, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I think that was a big moment.
Yeah, that was pretty big. Because that hair was iconic, bro.
Yeah.
That hair was iconic, bro.
I remember when they got it back for Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
That was pretty clean. Like, I still don't know to this day if that was a wig or he grew it back.
Exactly. I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, man, I'm definitely interested to see, you know, where Abel.
Yeah, Abel. The thing that I think will cheese me the most is like people starting to call him Abel. Like we do it as like a joke.
Yeah.
When you know when we say like Aubrey, you know, people who think that they can call these people on first name basis.
Justin.
Yeah. Like it'd just be so fucking annoying, like hearing people say Abel and Tesfaye and like
Tesfaye. That's so hilarious to me. Like, Abel.
But it is a sick name though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is for sure, man. So yeah, man. Shout out to the Weeknd. He has definitely gotten bigger than I ever thought he would.
Yeah.
So
I say this all the time. Like I remember hearing his first album and being like, "Yo, this guy's gonna be bigger than Drake." But I was just saying that as like, I didn't like Drake at that time, and like I just wanted it to be true. But even if you ask me, like, do you think that? I'm like, no, I don't really believe that. You know, I'm just saying it. But like, there's a case. There's a case to be made.
Is. Yeah, I would say he basically is.
Yeah,
he basically is.
Yeah.
But you know, there's a difference. 2 different genres.
It's different influences. I think there's ways that Drake is probably a bigger celebrity, but then there's ways that Weeknd is a bigger like artist, a bigger musician, you know.
I agree. And I hate to do this. I feel like it's kind of almost, please forgive me, I'm saying this, almost like a Michael Jackson and Prince.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Both amazing artists. I would just say, Michael Jackson, more globally known for culturally everything that he's done, while everybody's like, Prince was a fucking
musical
dog when it came to actual just music and musicality and instruments and all this other shit, you know. So kind of like that. But yeah, shouts out to both of them just doing their thing.
Or it's even almost kind of like Michael Jackson as like a, and it's not this either, but it's like,
I know.
Michael Jackson is like a performer, you know, like on his stage presence. Not to say that Weeknd doesn't have the big stage presence, but it's also just, I'm trying to think about it too, because like, you know, Weeknd is so influenced by like Michael musically, like vocally and all that stuff. Like that the comparisons in terms of like the biggest thing when people say, they don't say it like he's the next Michael Jackson, The Weeknd, but like when you make those comparisons, the obvious thing is like his stage presence versus Michael Jackson's, right?
Exactly.
But musically, it's, you know, in terms of like his catalog and the styles he gets into and the pop and
early
stuff.
times his voice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
The early
Yeah.
days of his voice,
which
he
is the
was
same.
really
Like I think Michael Jackson's best
Jackson-ish.
vocal performances were when he was a kid too. So it's the same kind of thing where it's like obviously earlier in your career you got to prove yourself. So it's like musically, but then when you think about Drake as like a showman, and again, it's not like he's on that level.
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
Like
We,
putting
again,
on
yeah.
you know, but it's like
Yeah.
that type of like impact, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it's not like, and it is. I mean, Drake's albums can be considered like pop in terms of how they what type of charts they get onto and stuff, you know. But I think Weeknd is probably more. These are all just semantics we're talking about, you know.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, you come to me with the debate about who's the GOAT, MJ, LeBron. Both cases can be made at this point. You know what I mean?
A lot of cases.
Yeah.
Boston South Podcast.
So Kevin, we're in dark times in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Super dark times.
It's been a while too.
It's been a very long time of just darkness,
Midness, yeah.
midness, midnight.
Yeah. It's been a long midnight.
Yeah, it
in
has.
Toronto, yeah.
Very,
in the
very dark here in the city. Almost Gotham-like, if you will. Streets-
Midham.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
robberies, murders. You can't take a nap on the TTC anymore.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, and we could break down the genres and everything, because there's definitely one that I think we both agree on for sure,
Yeah.
which is the obvious one. But do you feel like Toronto music has peaked?
It's tough because like we said, it's been a while, and we've been talking about this for a while too. I think throughout the entire pandemic pods, like yeah, like if you look at it relative to when it feels like there was more buzz and there was more artists who were at the top of like music charts in general, back in the day, it felt like there was definitely a lot more buzz. And it doesn't feel like the people who were at the top, who were allowing Toronto's music scene to separate itself beyond Drake and OVO, at least in the hip hop and like R&B and pop even spheres. And I think we'll talk about this too, but like indie rock was something. These are things that have like, I mean, you know, indie rock, obviously it wasn't, hasn't been as popular in the past, let's say like 10 years as it was in the 2000s. And I think it's making a little bit of a comeback now. Like,
Yeah.
as I think rap is like kind of not as influential as it was generally in pop and like in the top 100. But in Toronto specifically, yeah, I think it peaked. I don't even know when it would have been, like maybe when we started the podcast, when we had the playlist going and
Around
stuff.
that time, yeah.
There was a good amount of buzz, and since then, obviously, you can chalk it up a little bit to the pandemic, but you know, at the same time, music is still going. Music is mid in general, like, you know, but in Toronto especially, and that's where we're from. That's where that's what we know. Yeah, we haven't heard anything exciting from the established artists who were on the come up back when it was peaking. They haven't made any progress to that next level, and then we haven't gotten the artists who've come from like nothing into the into that new realm where let's say your Pink Panthresses and your Ice Spices and stuff, you know, like that type of new buzz type of. We haven't gotten that, and we don't have the established artists either. And then at the top of the tops, you know, we've talked about this at length too. You have, you know, Drake and it's just Drake right now, really, and
A free Tory.
yeah, and putting on mid, you know.
Yeah.
So at all levels, we just had mid and no growth and no movement in any of the big genres, rap, pop, rock, we were gonna call it, you know,
Yeah.
R&B. We've talked about this too. Yeah, like we have a pretty solid repertoire of people, you know, in that realm who are killing it from Toronto or just in Canada in general. And when you think about the indie rock music, like the history of indie rock in Toronto, you know, that was huge, man.
Good time.
Yeah.
Bro, I wasn't on this rap shit.
Yeah, no, back in high school, bro,
Yeah,
we weren't listening to rap, bro.
Like, we talk about rap a lot on here,
Yeah.
and I feel like people that think we're hip hop heads.
Nah, bro.
But nah, man. We're listening to fucking Broken Social Scene and Metric. Even if you go into like the electronic,
Chad Van Galen,
fucking Crystal Castles and shit. Like, I miss shit
Death
like
from
that.
Above, yeah.
Death from Above.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like what are they called? Arts and Crafts. Like those bands were
Yeah.
killing it back in the day,
Yeah.
bro. Like
Yeah.
like we had labels, we had the like the teams, you
Mm-hmm.
know, we had the people. Broken Social Scene was like there was a super group, you know, it was
Yeah,
like everybody
exactly.
was,
They were everybody.
yeah.
Which is amazing at the time.
Yeah.
Like, that was the Avengers of
Yeah.
Toronto indie
Yeah.
music.
And they were killing
and
it,
rock.
you know, like
Oh man. They were so sick.
yeah.
But yeah, man, it's just like, I don't know. I feel like definitely the whole pandemic definitely fucked up a lot of shit for everybody.
Yeah.
I think everybody I hate to do this all the time, but I think everybody thought 2020
Yeah.
was the year.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
We thought it was.
Yeah.
And look at us now.
And I
you
think
know?
it really shows, it exposes, I think Toronto's biggest weakness is just that we're from Canada, and then also that we're not as like connected to the rest of the world as we think we are.
Yeah.
We're connected because there's so many people from different places here, but then I feel like us personally, and then like there's so many other people who are about to get their footing in LA, in a worldwide, you know, get that worldwide audience rather than it still be this local thing. Because part of that too, part of it not being connected is like we don't put our own on as much as an Atlanta does, or New York, or for example, or London even, where they're able to kind of, there's artists there who are making millions that you've never heard of probably, you know, like they're able to just kind of sustain themselves in that. Just even London, or even like extended to, you know, they get lucky because they have like Europe to work with, right? We just have Canada. If you have a couple convictions or something, then you can't even cross the border.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's hard to get connections. Like I said, yeah, like it's a small world here, but there isn't those like pipelines, you know, that are so easily workable. You know, we don't have that same luxury that like Drake had, for example, where he was able to kind of go back and forth between Memphis and Houston and Atlanta. You know, like we don't have that, so the pandemic really isolated us, I think.
Yeah,
in Toronto.
I feel like it's definitely slowed down a lot of things for people. People kind of just had to. A lot of people that I liked, especially, just disappeared.
Yeah.
Even us, 750, kind of just disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like at all levels, you know, there's people that we know personally who are like, I feel like they're like Ghost is a great example of somebody who.
Ghost is no longer Ghost.
Yeah, Ghost is Ghost. You know what I mean?
Ghost.
Like, it's just crazy.
Ghost is a Muslim now.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's so wild because there's so many people, like that's just like 750 and Ghost, for example, are two people that you didn't know about who were probably ready to make that next move.
And again, let's focus around 750 for a second.
Yeah.
It's crazy that we went from dropping so many projects within a year, 2 years. We had bare projects that we just dropped back to back, slapping people upside their heads. To pandemic hits. We wait like a year to see what's going on. Yeah. We have a project.
Maybe two. Yeah.
Maybe two. We had a project. Yeah. Maybe two.
Yeah.
And we're like, all right, fuck it. Let's just drop this one and see what happens within the next year.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's kind of been silent. And it's not that we don't care. Mm-hmm. It's just that things just slowed down, so you lose that momentum. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And I feel like that has affected so many people. Again, like you're saying, on all scales from top to bottom. Mm-hmm. That it's, I don't know if people are trying to come back. Yeah. I see some guys trying to come back into shit. I see some people that did try and stick around and try to survive that have kind of built up some love and some appreciation from other people. But I feel like the vast majority has unfortunately fallen off. Yeah. And that's why I posed the question: has the music scene here kind of peaked? Yeah. Yeah. Because I feel like we haven't had that 2017 to 2019, heat in the city,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's been so long, and I don't know when it's gonna come back because I don't
Yeah.
really see it.
Yeah.
Coming
And I think
back.
part of it too is like we didn't fully develop the identity yet of like what is the Toronto scene.
Mm-hmm.
It was still in that like post Drake, everybody's just trying to kind of make something that's we're kind of getting out of that. We're starting to kind of finally find these new sounds of people like, okay, it's not just this one moody R&B hip hop kind of sound we have.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of, not just a little bit, there should have been like, I think where it was gonna go was that Toronto is like, there's so many different styles, and everything that's pop right now that can be pop, like Afro beats and fucking dancehall and rap, indie rock, house, all of these things can exist in Toronto, whereas in other places maybe it had to be a little bit, you have to like separate it and like this is this scene and this is this scene. Maybe not, because like we said, like even without the genre divisions, there's still like this cliquey division in Toronto, And
Yeah,
it comes down to it's so stupid. It comes down to borders or just where you live rather than actually, because there isn't really much like. Can you think of areas where you'd go to Toronto and be like, oh, I can't play this music? Like you'll probably find somebody who would at least, has grown up with it in some way. You know
I would
what I
say
mean?
other than like some op music.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally
yeah.
nothing else.
Yeah. And that still comes down to
Yeah.
just borders, you
Yeah.
know? And like
Yeah.
obviously that's part of the game, that's how it
Yeah.
is, but like yeah, we didn't have that time, and maybe it was the pandemic, maybe it wasn't supposed to happen, maybe that is what it is, like it just peaked, but I think Toronto's like identity didn't fully discover itself too, Because what is Toronto music now? Like now it's hard to say because there's just nothing to draw from. But even back then in its peak, it was still, I think, forming itself,
I don't know, man. I feel like there's the bigger names that we have, they're still around, and I feel like something could still happen.
Yeah.
Like we have been saying, I think it's R&B's turn
Yeah.
at the moment.
Yeah.
Rock is kind of picking up once again. I feel like the rap shit is kind of just dead-ish.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't really have anybody other than maybe a handful of people that I really think have been really working, really putting in the time, the love and the care, R&B right now from here, obviously you have, your Daniel Caesars. You can even say your Dylan Sinclair's who's coming up right now. I even want to shout out Bambi.
Yeah.
I feel like she hasn't been able to do anything really here, but she's outside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's overseas doing her shit.
And I think that's a great example of, I think, what Toronto can offer. Like, I think obviously she could have, made it anywhere, but I think there is that feeling that to her sets and kind of like where she draws from all this type of stuff, where it's like that is a very distinct Toronto thing, like her musicality.
Which which again, something I like about her is that she's able to bring that whole Toronto thing to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So they can kind of get a taste of what it's like over here.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of people haven't been able to experience her Toronto.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because it's so diverse and filled with so many different types of people and different types of sounds and stuff like that. But it's weird. It's this Toronto thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And then the Rock folks, they have some bands. I'm not gonna point out really any that I can think of off top, but they have some people coming up. I've been to a couple just random shows, and I'm liking what I'm hearing. It's sounding like a lot of the bands I'm hearing right now sound like this weird mix between like the trippiness of like a Tame Impala, but with they have like this foundation of the early Good Charlotte, Sum 41 days in it, which is a cool mix that I enjoy. I just want to hear it on a bigger level. And when it comes to rap, there's just nobody. I'm gonna do this just because Smitty's not here. I don't know what's going on with Smiley.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
We can't talk about certain things with certain people here. I'm gonna take the L on this one. I'll take the whatever backlash could possibly come if anybody
Yeah.
hears this. I also know what's going on with Smiley.
Yeah.
Um,
But I think that also speaks to a bigger point too about like the industry and like the label parts
Yeah.
of the music, especially in like hip hop. And we've talked about this before, but like, you know, OVO, if it's not them, there needs to be like an entity that can handle the talent better. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like can kind of like develop stars in a
Yeah.
little bit more
from our
consistent way.
from
you know?
our understanding of things, from what I hear in the industry and what I hear on the street, and from other people that just know people, what OVO does is they kind of just say, "Yo, you're signed. Do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Figure it out." You know, I don't want to say figure it out, but you know, do what you want to do. Here's your budget. This is what you got.
Yeah.
Do what you want to do with it. And it seems like a lot of the acts that they have just don't know
Yeah.
what to do with it.
Yeah.
And the acts that they have that are really good aren't dropping.
Yeah.
I need Party.
Yeah. See, that's
Where's Majid?
those are the two who should be like mainstays in Toronto music, you know, and sure, yeah, maybe Party has his writing bag and like that's enough. Maybe that's true for Majid as well, but like I don't know. These are artists who put together like consistent albums and like
That's what I'm saying.
you can't also do that as well as the writing bag as well, you know, like it's not like it's a crazy amount of like all you need to do is make some songs. Isn't that what you're already doing?
Bro,
like
have you heard some of the leaks that Party has?
not recently.
Bruh, this thing is fire. Like,
Yeah.
I think he could be one of the best. It's just not coming out.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, when he drops the albums, it's missing this. It's like fucking Playboy Cardi. It's like it's missing the stuff, all the leaks that we've heard.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just all this other music.
Yeah. And just his releases in general have been bad. Like the best song that's on that tape comes out like 6 months before the album
Yeah.
comes out, so you don't even want to
You're not
listen.
excited anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. And it's just this thing where it's this absence of the people that we all kind of recognize as great,
Yeah.
and this absence of the people that we kind of see as becoming great. The only people I could really shout out is like Tamir,
Yeah.
for example, who's been on the pod, friend of the pod. He's one of the guys he's one of the only rappers right now that I could see coming up and making a name for himself, and
Yeah.
people loving and respecting and showing love to all on a consistent basis, and always supporting what he does, you know?
And that's just care and growth and
Yeah.
putting time into it, you know.
Yeah.
And it's people put themselves, I think in hip hop too, they put themselves in these boxes like I'm a rapper from Toronto, so I got to sound like this or I got to sound like that. Like Tamir switches it up. Like I don't
Exactly.
see people switching it up. I don't see people leaning into, you know, you like that one style, you like that drill shit. That's not Toronto,
It's not
you know what I
Toronto.
mean? Like we got to find the different. I like the, you know, even just everything that he's doing where it's like there's a deeper history to you know, he's rapping over the Cardinal beats and
Yeah.
stuff. It's like there's a history to this. There's a
He
there's
pays-
a
he pays
nostalgia to
homage,
this. You know,
Yeah.
we know the phases of it, but this is what we're talking about right now is like, yeah, at least you can talk about that Cardinal era or whatever being corny and shit, and it's like there's a truth to that, but at least you know what Toronto rap sounded like at that time,
Exactly.
and it had its like people, and it's had its market. You know, what is it now? What is the market? You know, what is the what a Toronto rap playlist look like? You know,
And that's why none has dropped from us.
yeah.
Because
Like if I were to go on I haven't gone on Northern Bars in I don't know how long.
Yeah, let me look at that too.
Because before we were talking, I was trying to figure out actually like, is there like a Toronto music chart thing that we could look up? Like, I don't think so. Northern Bars, Smiley's on there. Just a whole bunch of people I don't know.
And I'm gonna
And I
put
know if I
Smiley on the
click-
spot again. This Eternals track is not that good.
Yeah,
A lot of the music is that no, it's not ours. Okay, a lot of the music Smiley has dropped has not been as good as it was before he got signed.
yeah, yeah,
He was dropping hot. He was dropping heat
Yeah.
before he got signed, and then it kind of fell off.
Yeah. It's kind of true for all these, like, how do you, it feels like taking steps back, where even with Pressa, with Smiley, like a lot of the guys that we had, it sounded like they had something, and then when they got signed, it like watered down, or they just like started listening to the wrong people, and now you're starting to think, was that just a fluke?
Yeah.
And there's obviously an element of that, but it's also kind of like they just weren't focusing on the right things. You know what I mean? Like what actually worked for them to start popping off in the first place, they didn't pinpoint those things properly, you know?
Yeah. I haven't checked for no Jazz Cartier in a minute.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Block of the Dawn is too old for this.
Yeah.
He's been rapping for 20 years.
Yeah. That's not even an exaggeration.
He's been rapping for way too long.
Yeah.
He gets a lot of love and support from people, but at this point, I don't know. Personally, I think it's a little bit embarrassing. Personally.
And, you know, we're not the minority. Let's just say there's a lot of a lot of call outs.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that call that out, you know?
Too, so
I don't know. Who else? And then everybody else here, I don't even know.
yeah, exactly. I feel like a lot of these would be probably like from fucking Calgary and shit too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Havaya Mighty's not from Toronto, is she?
Oh, yeah, she is.
Is she?
Yeah. Yeah, she is. Who was I going to say? I just saw them. 1 second, guys.
Like,
Sorry.
who's this Mallow K? He has a track with Snoop Dogg.
Jesus. You know there's Cheeks. Oh, 88 Glam broke up.
Oh yeah.
So it's like Derek Wise is now here doing his own thing again, but it's just not the same.
Yeah.
I love Derek Wise is one of my favorite rappers, but I'm not liking the new stuff.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where you kind of recognize when it came to 88 Glam, it worked beautifully because they were great together.
Yeah, they complemented each other well, and
Very,
you had to
very
switch
well.
up the flow. I don't want to hear Derek Wise on a whole song. Now,
I don't want to hear Derek Wise on the whole
And
song.
on the other hand, too, I don't want to hear Drew Howard. You know.
I'd rather.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'd rather hear him.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I feel like Derek has been putting in the work, but it just hasn't translated fully.
Yeah.
While Drew or 88, whatever you want to call him, I think he can be that guy.
What was his first song?
You're Not My Mans.
Yo,
That was
see, there was a
time, bro,
when Mans used to actually run people's songs back.
Yeah,
like run them back, like just keep running them back.
Yeah,
like what was Jazz's first song?
I don't know what you're talking about. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember. But
It's
the one where
probably
he's
still-
walking through fucking
Yeah, it's probably still his first.
Yeah.
His most Dead or Alive.
Dead or Alive.
Like, these are foundational songs of Toronto
Even
rap, bro.
Derek Wise, bro.
Yeah.
He had tracks too.
Yeah.
And that was when he was in his whole like dark shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was all mysterious.
Yeah,
Walking
you
through
couldn't.
Kensington
There was
at
no like
night.
picture of like his face.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. You
fully,
could never
know?
get a full good look
Yeah.
at this. He looked like fucking Bane or something. You just
Yeah.
didn't know who he was fully.
Yeah.
He was just sick.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just sad to see that we don't have those times
Come
anymore.
down.
Come down. Yeah, Castro.
Yeah.
Castro's in Atlanta or something now. He's back in Atlanta or LA or somewhere.
Yeah.
And he's in film school.
Yeah, we took these things for granted. Like, I'm now remembering how hot this shit used to be.
Fiji-
Because
yeah.
now sometimes I'm trying to think about it, like, yo, are we just going too hard? And this is something we've also talked about too, where it's like, as you get better as an artist, are you also more critical of stuff? Like, is the younger generation, you know, like when we were the people now who are in their young 20s, like, do they not feel that same way? Do they feel Toronto is still popping? And I don't think so. I don't think they had that same heat that we had
They don't.
access to
They
when we were
don't-
growing up.
they don't even
even
know.
know. That's the problem. They don't know
They
what
don't
it
even know.
actually looks like. You know, like
So
you don't know when TBH came out by Pressa or even like
Jeez.
Novocaine. You know what I mean?
Novocaine.
Like you don't.
Holy.
Like, when was the last time you heard about Murda Beats?
You know? Facts.
This guy who used to be whenever you heard a next Murda Beat song, like that was the next song. You know what I mean?
Killy's falling off.
Yeah, yeah.
He was one of the weird exceptions though, where I felt like he was never going to be that big, but
Yeah,
he was always going to have like a really big fan or cult fan
Yeah,
base,
exactly,
where
yeah.
he could have a career no matter what.
The 88 Rising kind of.
Yeah. he was always gonna have a fan base, and I believe he still does, but it's just not. I'm not checking for his shit no
Exactly.
more,
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah.
There's just so many. There was just such a. It was such a beautiful. Yo,
Even Ram Riddles, his earlier stuff,
yeah.
like it was catchy. You know?
yeah.
Now I'm not. Maybe it is still good. It's just I'm not looking for it,
Yeah.
and I don't hear anybody talking about it either. So I'm not.
So it's
like,
there's no need for me to even pay
because
attention.
at least if I hear somebody else talking about it, it still might probably is mid, but like at least I know that there's some buzz about it. I don't even hear anything about these artists anymore. Like,
Yeah.
there's no buzz. There's no people trying to pretend that the mid is actually good, which I would prefer.
I prefer, yeah.
to just there being just silence. Like
Yeah.
you just don't hear anything.
Yeah. Even going to those all the real op music guys, YG and all them, it's just not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same. There's no dropping
And-
music.
Yeah, there was the pandemic, and of course there might also have been stuff like there's certain arrests and stuff that happened.
Arrests,
That
deaths.
yeah, exactly. There was a lot of shootings actually.
Yeah,
There's
a lot of people died.
Yeah, that is that's a big thing too.
Yeah.
But
Which is we can add that has definitely held us back.
yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a multi-factor thing, but
But what do we do?
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know. I just don't see anybody these days other than Tamir,
Yeah.
potentially us if we, actually go hard.
Yeah. It's not like it went away. It's just mans are just watching.
Yeah, we're trying to feel out the scene.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hop back into shit, but I'm not hopping back in. You could hop into a mid scene and just be like, extra quality.
See, the reason that we didn't,
You know?
I mean, the reason we didn't pop before any of this shit was happening is because we were doing that same thing. We were kind of just trying to figure out how we fit in, and
Yeah.
and now it's like even worse than when it was before. you know?
Exactly. I feel like we fit more.
Yeah, exactly.
back then.
Yeah.
Than we do now because all these guys are younger,
That's the biggest problem. Is
and
like,
I know like my cousins are listening to these guys, and I'm like,
you
guys-
don't.
you like this trash?
Like they got pop just because default, like there isn't anything else going on right now, and just that kind of young thing. That's something that you can always cash in on, especially in music, right? But they don't have that next generation, the generation that we're talking about, who maybe the pandemic, maybe shootings, all these combinations kind of held them back. They didn't have that generation to look to.
Yeah.
We should have been the ones guiding this next generation right now, where we're entering our prime and they're on the come up. But
Yeah.
we don't have that. There's no veterans on the team, and then all these rookies don't have the veterans to look up to.
It's
you
like the
know?
Grizzlies,
Yeah, exactly.
basically.
Yeah, that's a great
That's one thing I've always noticed about the Grizzlies.
Look at how all that whole team villainized themselves now.
Yeah.
They went from the everybody loved them to now everybody hates them.
Exactly, and if you look at like, somebody like John Morant, everybody's just going in on him.
Yeah.
and to me, if we're being real, yeah, he was acting wild.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm thinking, if we erase the whole "he's a millionaire" thing, he's 22, 23.
Yeah.
He's just young. He's chilling. He's fucking bitches.
Did you see that video of him in the club holding a Casamigos and drinking
Yeah,
it
and
like
drinking
beer?
it like water,
Yeah.
bro. I seen that, bro. I'm like, oh, that could never be me.
But it's like if I was 23 with
That's what I would do,
millions,
bro. I did that a couple weeks ago.
yeah,
That's me, and
Yeah.
I'm not, and it's one of those things where I heard a lot of people say, "Oh, they don't have any vets," but they try to say Steven Adams is one, and I'm
Yeah.
like, he's not.
he's not in the
He's not a
love
vet.
with. He's not somebody that they're gonna respect in terms of just that kind of life advice.
Yeah.
It's no disrespect to Steven Adams. He is a vet of the game, obviously, and what he does positionally in basketball. But I'm not. I wouldn't expect. I wouldn't be as a coach, as John Morant's parents or agent. I wouldn't be like, "Hey, Steven, keep this motherfucker in check."
Yeah,
Like, that's not his responsibility.
You need some guys there that have been through it,
Like LeBron, you need a LeBron. You need like it's superstar training. It's not like how to present yourself as a basketball player off court. There's a difference between. There's a reason that you're only seeing John Morant in the club and not Dylan Brooks, not even Desmond Bain or like one of the Tillman or something. Those guys are at the club too. It's just nobody's fucking taking
Yeah,
pictures of them.
exactly. Exactly.
It's a different expectation that you have for certain players. And
Yeah.
John Morant, obviously, he would benefit from having that, but it is what the team is.
Yeah. There's
And
nobody.
it's not like it needs to be somebody on the team. All the guys in the NBA are close. They know each other and shit. You have teammates from college and all this bullshit. Like, you can find people to look to if you need to, right? Like, I'm sure LeBron has been a mentor to people who he's never been on a team with, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's just nobody to right now in the scene that I see anybody wanting to put their arms around and, you know, protecting,
Yeah.
if you will, and leading them in the right direction
Yeah.
to make sure they make it out of this shit, one, alive,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
out of jail,
Yeah.
and then next on to stardom.
Yeah.
And I don't know who could fill that space right now. It's just it's a weird time.
And you know, the problem with that too is like that peak of Toronto rap was like you were kind of being incentivized to talk about shooting ops, and you know, like that was kind of like you kind of needed to do that.
And it happened.
Yeah. And obviously there's a certain length, there's only so far you can go is before like words turn into action, right?
Yeah.
And like needing to be about that life, not just speaking about that life or something, right? So
Yeah, man.
there's that. There's just the pandemic, and we didn't set the foundation right. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. That's why once again having Rolling Loud here,
Yeah.
I didn't agree with.
Yeah.
It was a great idea. I was hoping it was going to be more like a Rolling Loud that you would just have in Thailand
Right.
or any other of the other international countries that they go to.
Yeah.
They don't really put on, you know, too many local artists there.
Yeah.
You just have artists pull up.
Yeah.
If they just did that here, I would have been cool with that.
Yeah. We don't need to pretend like we have enough of a
We don't.
enough
don't.
bodies here. We don't. Yeah.
And if they do it again this year, then I don't know. Then there definitely needs to be some changes. Like, let's cut down that list.
Yeah.
Let's cut down that list. Or if we're not going to cut it down, make sure it's the cream of the crop and actually the cream of the crop.
Yeah, because otherwise you're getting open mic night.
Yeah.
You're getting those fucking artist showcase.
The showcases.
Yeah, and we don't need any of those anymore.
The worst. The worst.
That's the problem too. Like, we're talking about it on all levels. Like, that's the ground level. If you want to get in as an artist, either you need to just be, especially as a rapper, for example, you need to get over in your hood and your community, or you need to go through one of these people who are not, they're just trying to make an extra $500 pretty
Yeah.
much. They're not actually there to like bring up the next crop, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I mean, we know we've been in them for years now, so
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to feel that vibe again in the city, man.
yeah.
It was good, man. Those few years.
Yeah.
Just because, yes, there was a gap. There was a gap between our love for, you know, indie
Yeah.
music and electronic shit and what was kind of going on, and then there was a couple years of a gap, and
You
then
needed like Chief Keef, I think, started the kind
Yeah.
of next era.
and then
you know?
the rap started
Yeah.
picking up in the quality of the music.
Yeah.
Casper, K Money, those guys started doing their thing. A lot of people were just out here just doing their thing,
Yeah.
and yeah, it just doesn't feel the same anymore. Now it just feels dangerous.
Yeah.
It just feels more dangerous. It feels like there's all these kids that I just don't care about or know about that are just murderers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool, but when I listen to this song, it's still shit, you know?
Yeah.
At least the guys that were killing people were dropping some heat.
Yeah.
Like, this is just ass. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just want the best for the city. I want us, again, we're just fucking talented out here, and I want us to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's going to be time, I guess. We just need more time. It might not be now. It might be in the future. Another 5 years or so.
Yeah. I mean, again, you know, this is the first like real, this is the first summer, I think, like back,
Yeah,
you know.
You're right.
Maybe that's what we need is just a really good summer.
Just a really good summer, yeah. I'm excited for this summer.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see, yo. You guys let us know what you think about, you know, if you are from Toronto or if you do pay attention to what's happening in the scene over here. What do you guys think about, you know, rap, R&B, rock, and what's going on this side? And if there's anybody that we're missing, that maybe we're overlooking somebody, you know?
Yeah.
Obviously, we know some of the greats, like, again, Hawaii Mighty, Toby. I want to shout out Tamir again.
Yeah.
Whoever fucking else. But you guys let us know if we've overlooked somebody and we are missing somebody that is actually popping and is, you know, looking like they're going to be the future.
And not to, just one thing on that too. Not to, I don't know. It's probably something we'll talk about. Maybe not, but just like I feel like if 750 and Kevin A were at the top, then none of this would happen.
And that's a fact. Just because we would be changing shit
Yeah.
constantly, and
If we were the
sounds
gatekeepers,
this. Yeah.
like, oh my god,
none of our shit would be sounding like this.
like
You know,
we would be if you were an up and coming person, you're just dropping your shit on SoundCloud and no, you don't think anybody's listening. We're listening.
We're listening.
And if it's trash, we're taking it off,
Yeah.
bro. Like we're not
Exactly.
tolerating this shit. You know, that's what you need. You need somebody who's like who's on the ground and they care about it. You know, like they care about it at all levels, like we're talking about.
yeah,
Because it's not just a one problem. You know,
Yeah.
it's everywhere.
yep. I miss the days of actually, paying attention to music.
Yeah.
And I just can't because it's just it's midnight.
Like there could be such a ridiculous Toronto music festival, like, but we're not ready for it.
We're not ready.
But it could include Broken Social Scene, Death from Above, going into fucking whatever Pressa. You know what I mean? Like it could be a crazy festival,
Crazy, man. Crazy.
but we don't deserve it.
We don't
so.
deserve it yet. We got to work harder. We got to work harder. Hopefully we can make something like that in the future. you know?
Yeah.
That's what I'm like, yo, if all else fails, then at least I want to make sure that we are the new gatekeepers
Yeah.
of whatever happens in the city.
Yeah.
That's the position I'm trying to work us into at the very least. If it is going to be us, I'd love to be involved with who it is, and making sure that things are handled correctly, because I've just seen so many mistakes in the city, and it's tiring and it's unfortunate. And we need some shine. We need some shine. People deserve some love over here. People shouldn't have to leave Toronto to gain a little bit of traction.
Yeah.
You know?
To bring it back here and then be like, okay, now you're accepted because you're accepted over there.
Yeah.
You know?
They like you in LA now? Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
And then you're gonna be in LA for the rest of your life
Yeah.
now. And once you get accepted in LA, why the fuck would you stay here?
Exactly.
And that's part of it too. Is like nobody comes back.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, Drake's been here, but like,
There's a difference.
yeah,
The last person that came back was Houdini, and we saw what happened to him.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, R.I.P.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the thing. It's hard to undervalue how much that must have stalled the scene, but
exactly.
it is what it is.
It is what it is, man. So yeah, anything else you wanted to get to, yo?
Not really.
Nothing. All right.
I think it's nice we kept the music. You know?
Yeah, we kept mostly music. I'm gonna talk one last music thing. I don't know
Yeah.
if you probably didn't check out this
No.
album. Quick, just from Jamal, just a quick shout out. If you guys haven't yet, feel free to check out that Destroy Lonely album, If Looks Could Kill. I've been listening to it for the last 3-4 days or so since it came out. Pretty solid work from Destroy Lonely. He's one of those SoundCloud guys that I've been kind of following, who got signed to Playboy Cardi's label. He dropped an album last year, which was all right. But this one is a lot better. And you can kind of see the direction that they're kind of heading in with their whole label. They're doing the whole rock rap shit, and they're blending it very well. They're incorporating a lot more guitars and stuff
Yeah.
into their live performances, which if you've seen Playboy Cardi perform, that's what he does.
Yeah.
So he's kind of putting that into his artists, and you could hear it in the music, and it's really good. Only problem with this album is it's a fucking hour and a half long
No.
of swag rap
Yeah. No.
and fake deep drug music.
Yeah.
Bruh, condense these shits. I don't know why we have albums this long.
Yeah.
Unless it's
How many songs is that? Like 30 songs? Because all these
bare
songs,
song. Let me tell
'cause
you
it's
right
like
now.
2 minutes a song nowadays. You can't. And if your song is more than 3 minutes nowadays, then it's too long. Like there's something
I
that can be
tell
cut.
when it's been too long.
Yeah.
26 songs, bro.
Yeah. That's too much.
26 songs. It's an hour 23 minutes. Like that's just
Could have done. That's
too
two
long.
projects. You know.
yeah. It's 2 projects, man.
Yeah.
And I get it. You just want to
Yeah.
get some streams, you
Yeah,
know, but
yeah.
this is not the way to do it,
No.
bro. Give me a max of 45.
Yeah.
You know, but it all depends on the type of music, and this is not the type of music where I need a long album.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a good, solid listen overall. That middle section is fire, though. There's a good middle section, the belly of it.
Mm. Yeah.
It's fire. It's fit. But yeah, yo.
Yeah, you don't want to. You don't want an album where people are like, you take this and that's hot. You know, you don't want filler, and
Exactly.
you're gonna get filler. Fucking what's it like? Dark Twisted Fantasy was too long, and that was like, you know, there's all these orchestral fucking this and that. I couldn't listen to that album again, you know. Or like To Pimp a Butterfly, like that's an hour or something. Like
I listened to Pimp a Butterfly once. 'cause I was
it's
just
beautiful. Like it's
I'm
an amazing
cool.
story
Yeah,
that
that was
takes you
great.
through everything
Yeah.
in the world, but it's just like you can't listen
Yeah,
to it
you
more
can't.
than once, you know.
You can't. But yeah, yo, this was Lost and Talks podcast, episode 107 with the boys, me and Kevin. We talked Pop Smoke, Tyler the Creator, Ed Sheeran, Weekend, Toronto music, and a little bit of Destroy Lonely. So you guys let us know if you have anything to contribute to the conversation.
What are you listening to right now?
What am I listening to?
Yeah, you know.
Oh,
Like,
what are they listening
yeah,
to?
what are you pulling back?
Yeah,
What are you pulling back right
Yeah,
now?
what
When's
do
the
you
last
guys-
time you pulled back a song?
Exactly. What was the last couple things that you pulled back? Pause.
Yeah.
that you pulled back, yo. I want to listen to some tracks.
And
that
you know what
guys
I mean
should
by that?
yo.
Like you hear the hook comes in and you got to play it back.
Yeah, exactly.
And you finish the song and then you got to play it back again.
Exactly.
You know, like that's what I mean. Like
That's what the belly of this Destroy Lonely project
Yeah.
has, to have a few of those right in the
Yeah.
right in the gut.
Yeah.
Right in the gut of the project. You're like, oh, I heard these. I'm like, oh, run that
Yeah.
back, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys let us know. It doesn't have to be no Toronto shit either. Just let us know what you guys have been running back and what you guys have been listening to around the world. I'm down for anything, even if it's not even English. Like
Yeah.
I'm bumping. I've been listening to a lot of these rappers from France and Paris and shit.
yeah.
You guys are hard, yo.
Yeah. It's like different flows, you know?
Man.
It's not as repetitive and
Yeah, and that's the one thing I like about different languages, since their words don't exactly translate.
yeah.
It's, I don't know, it's like more poetic,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you will. It's like when you're watching anime and you read the subtitles, but then you hear what
And it's not the
it's not the exact same, but it's
Yeah.
like the way it's said in English, the way they translate is very poetic.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, you guys let us know.
the way that they say it in Japanese, you get the emotional tone of it, and then the subtitle, you know that it's like, it's just the translation. It's not the exact words.
It's not the exact words.
But you combine it. It's like, okay, this is what he means, and then this is how it's being said. You get that double thing. You know?
feel it.
Yeah.
You feel it a lot more. But yeah, yo, let us know what's popping. Let us know what's good out there in the streets. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Appreciate you. I think I'm going to record that end or beginning cancel culture thing. I'm going to record it at home and try to just place it on the podcast from now on. Anyways, check out the socials. Make sure you guys are rating the podcast. And we will see you later. Thanks.